Jeff, you do these every week?
Tuesdays and Thursdays. I need some also.
Okay.
Jeff's the councilman.
Okay. Is that a good or a bad thing?
Well, it's good for the community. I know that.
How many phone calls you get about Air Street?
Okay, good afternoon and welcome to 802 Scoop, live from 185 North Main Street in Barrie on this kind of beautiful, sunny, cold, and then dark and gloomy and wet day.
Well,
It depends
You got
on where you
everything
are.
covered there.
When I was in Northfield this morning, the sun was shining, and then I got back down this way and it was raining. So it just depends on where you are and what you're doing.
Now it's just windy and cold.
Now it's just windy and cold. Yep, and that's how it's going to be all day. So Glenn Brummer says good afternoon. So thank you all for joining us. Today we are here with the Spaulding High School wrestling members. We have assistant coach Matt Thurston, head coach Darren, and then assistant coach Mick. So welcome. I hear
Thanks.
Thanks for
history
having
has
us.
been made and everybody wants to know about it. Everybody's been talking about it. At least that we see. We did a couple of posts and there were a lot of comments and congratulations and how did you get there and why did it take so long and what is, all these questions. And so you'll be able to help and answer all of that today. But why don't you all start by introducing yourself and you can go in whatever order you want.
I'm Mick Kerin, assistant coach, longtime coach,
Former high school wrestler.
former head coach.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I never
You
wrestled.
didn't wrestle?
I never wrestled in high school.
You didn't.
No, I didn't start competing until after high school.
No. Your
So
son
long.
Philip did though,
Yes,
and he was a state champion.
he was.
Okay.
4 times state champion.
4 times.
Wow.
Mick's been doing this a while. So maybe I'll speak for you. So Mickey's been doing this since the late 70s. His brother Patrick was a state finalist and graduated in 81 maybe,
80, I believe.
80. And his brother-in-law Rusty was a state champion who Mick and Deb helped raise. And then
Rusty Copping.
And his son was a 4-time state champion, a New England champion, prep school All-American, and he's been coaching for 50 plus years now.
Wow.
No.
Yeah.
You've
I'm
been
Darren
coaching
O'Meara.
50 years?
I'm the head coach. And I've been coaching basically since I graduated in one form or another, and that was 97. And I was an assistant for Mickey and Dave Fournier when they were co-head coaches from probably 2004, 5 to 2016. And then I took over the program about 10 years ago.
Nice.
I'm Matt Thurston. I graduated in 2001 from Spaulding. I was a 2-time state finalist and a state champ 1 year. I went on to wrestle at Norwich and moved away for several years, started a family, and ended up moving back to Barrie about 15 years ago and kind of slowly made my way back in through helping to coach my kids in the Barrie Youth Sports Association wrestling program. And then when Darren took over the program, he reached out and asked me to come along for the ride.
Nice. And everybody knows who you are.
Yeah.
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 Everybody knows who Jeff is.
I'm just that co-host guy that
Yeah,
shows
ju-
up
just the
on
co-host.
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
So, what does it take to get here?
A lot of work. A lot of work, a lot of time. There's quite a few coaches that aren't here today that give a crazy amount. I mean, every one of them basically is critical to the program. So Taylor Lozier is one of our assistant coaches. Trevor Bell, Hunter Quero, Nick Pierce, Kyle Cook until recently was an assistant coach, critical part of the program, and we've got some volunteer assistants that that are like one-on-one type coaches, work individually with athletes. There's probably some I forgot too, but
Yeah, we've had a handful of assistant coaches that over the years that after they graduate, right now it's Carter Dickinson and Philip Maurice, and they work with certain levels of wrestlers or size wrestlers based on how big they are, which is helpful. And then we've had a handful over the years that have helped out as well, and they're just as important to the development of the athletes.
And do you train all year long? Do you have a season like everybody does, or is this something that you are always?
I mean, we're always involved in something wrestling-wise. The high school season, obviously, it's a winter sport and runs the normal winter sports season. But we do have a local club. It's called Green Mountain Wrestling Academy, and quite a few of our high school athletes and junior high athletes attend the club, and that basically runs 3/4 of the year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And Mick, before we went live, you talked about the program priorities that you wanted to make sure to talk about those.
Well, we have changed our youth focus over the years, and we're still working on it. We went from competing on a regular basis all over the state, and we're not sure that those long Saturdays are beneficial to the long-term plan of a wrestler. We'd rather have fun at practice, perhaps compete as the kids get older, but a very long Saturday is not a good way for mom and dad to get their baptism of wrestling, because it takes a very long time.
Yeah.
The seasons have changed. We are mirroring the high school season now, whereas back in the day, the season started after the high school season. So a 14-hour day on a beautiful spring day, Saturday, is not a good way to spend your day. So we're still working on that, but I think that we have found something, having more fun, letting them learn wrestling naturally, and then as 7th and 8th graders, teaching them more, and by the time they get to high school, then we start teaching, coaching
Yeah.
a lot more.
Yeah, and that's probably our next evolution. I think we've gotten the high school and the club program into a spot where we're fairly confident we can develop athletes quickly and get them really competent by their senior year. And I think the next thing for us is to figure out, how we take our youth program to the next level, and we've got some ideas about that. We've got some really good help, I think, this year that has committed to doing that, maybe doing something similar to what we've done at the high school level and bringing it down to the next level, because we just don't have the bandwidth.
Yeah.
As many coaches as we have, it takes all of them to do what we're doing currently. So Matt and I talk about this a lot. Matt's actually the BYSA director
Yeah.
for wrestling.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe talk about some of the evolutions we've had already, but where we're headed.
Yeah. Wrestling has a really, really low retention rate nationally. It's like, depending on what grade level and what year of experience, there are some years where specifically in transitions from like elementary to middle school and middle school to high school, you might only retain 20% of the kids. And, they go on to play basketball, or they go on to, the regular teenage stuff and,
Yeah.
social things. And so from the BYSA perspective, we kind of recognized that, to start in kindergarten with 100 kids, and then when we're getting ready for a high school season, you know, you might only have one or two of those kids. We've had several years where we had no precipitation of kids into the high school program. So we've kind of adjusted how we work with the kids at a young age, and really changing priorities. Really, you know, wrestling is it's a physical sport, and for, you know, young kids, it can be like really hard for them to be in matches and lose and have it be so physical. And we kind of just changed our mantra to like, hey, why don't you just come have fun, learn the sport, learn to love the sport, and then if you can get them to that point where they're like, I love wrestling, I want to be there, I want to learn more, and they're kind of asking you, okay, I want to compete now, I want to do these things, then we can start, you know, exposing them to some level of competition that's appropriate for them, in a way that's respectful, like Mick said, of their time on a Saturday, and it seems to be working well, and we've done well too, you know, working with the schools and finding kids that really maybe basketball didn't work out for them, or hockey didn't work out for them, and taking those kids along and kind of making them feel welcome. That's just the beginning. They don't know how to wrestle. Maybe they're not even a good athlete yet, and saying, well, you know, you can give this thing a try, and we'll see where it goes. And as they develop and grow and mature, and if you can get them to really buy into that, oh, this is kind of cool. This is a neat sport. I like the community. I like the culture. And then once you snag them on that, then you can really take them to club, get them in the high school, and they can develop really fast. Yeah. And we've made a living off of that for several years now. And you know, I think the BYSA program is in a really good spot. You know, the kids are having fun. You know, we still get parents that are like, oh, we need to compete, and we've got to kind of rein them in a little bit and try to explain it to them. But I think we have a track record now that we can point to that, like, you know, it doesn't really matter if little Johnny's a third grade state champion, whatever that means, you know, and really be like, the more important thing for wrestling, and maybe in other sports, but I can just specifically speak to wrestling, is that the important thing isn't success when you're young. It's being around wrestling through your formative years, and that's really the important thing.
And it's like pretty much any sport.
Yeah, you know, if you have that early success, and you know you have issues with losing, or you know don't develop as quickly as your classmates, and you kind of fall behind on the puberty ladder, you know, and then kids can get discouraged. So it's really just about like, hey, have fun, learn the sport. When you're ready, you're ready, and we just kind of wait and take advantage of when that time comes, and then say, okay, if you're on board, let's do something with it. And the kids seem to respond well to it. They enjoy it a lot more.
It goes against the grain of a lot of our youth sports culture now, which is like compete more and more and earlier and further away.
And winning is the most important thing.
And it's like we all got to spend $20,000 a year for our kid to play, you know, youth whatever. And, you know, at some point it's kind of a race to the bottom, because, you know, at some point there's only so many spots on the high school team, you know, when you get up there. So, you know, how much is this worth to you? How much of an investment do you want to make in this? And at the end of the day, if the kids don't love it and they're not coming back, I don't know if it's really worth it. One of the things we've done well is to build a wrestling community here. Not that there wasn't one before, but it's noticeably different. If you go to the high school for one of the dual meets, you'd be shocked at how many people are there. You'd be shocked at how intense it is.
I'm sure it's a lot different than, like, I graduated from Spaulding in '74, and you know, there was the wrestling community then was like a handful of people. Well, Mr. Free was like, you know, the only guy that was always at all the matches as boys wrestled. Yeah. But I know, you know, just from talking to Mick and seeing other wrestling things, it's grown exponentially since, you know, the '70s. And I think a lot of it is this, you know, getting younger kids involved. And like, so with you guys, you take kids from outside of the Barrie area, right? Can they get into the youth program?
Well, Barrie Youth Sports is a club. It's not a school.
Right.
you know, sanctioned events.
Right.
So yeah, we do have athletes from, you know, the greater central Vermont area, and a lot of them choose to come to high school at
And
Spaulding.
so that's what I was going to ask. If then they get to that stage, they're out of elementary school, middle school, and they're going into high school, and they've wrestled, let's say, for 4 years with the BYSA program. Can they wrestle for Spaulding
If they go to Spaulding.
if they go to Spaulding?
Yep.
See, and
Yep.
I've always been one of those guys that said, you know, if their school doesn't offer the program, let them come to that. Even though they're going to, let's say they're going to U32, and they want to wrestle. Why can't they just, you know, absorb them into the
Because
program?
the VPA classifies wrestling as an individual sport and not a team sport. If it were classified as a team sport, they could do the member to member,
You gotta-
like we
somebody
do,
has to yeah.
like we do in hockey or like we do in football,
Yeah.
where somebody can go to another school and compete for us. But that's not the case in
Yeah.
wrestling. But our people that love wrestling, and they will come
Yeah.
to Spaulding, and they'll you know, if they're from ascending town, they'll choose it, and if they're not, they'll tuition in or, you know, something like that.
See, I used to see it a lot in the BYSA football program
Mm-hmm.
because kids were coming from Williamstown, Northfield to play
Yep.
for BYSA,
Yeah.
but then they can't play.
Well,
for Spaulding
they
unless
can
go to
now,
Spaulding.
football
They can?
Yeah, and they do, and U32 has a handful of high schools that send to them, and Spaulding has a handful. We had members from Oxbow, I don't remember what other towns.
I don't
but
remember
we had-
either,
We
but-
had a few different
Yeah.
towns.
I'll bet there was 4 or 5 different schools who sent kids to Spaulding
Yep.
to play football.
Yeah, so they are doing that.
Yep.
In some of the other sports, yeah.
'Cause you see these kids that play, you know, because I was involved with mostly basketball and football through BYSA, and I coached junior high basketball up at Berry City for a few years. And I'd had, you know, so here we are competing against these kids at Berry Town, but then they come to Spaulding and they got to learn to play together. So that's when we started grouping them into these AAU teams and going out. It's just, you know, you'd think, you know, for the kids themselves, I think it should be able, if they come from, let's say they came from Northfield and they wanted to wrestle, that, you know, it doesn't matter. If you live in Northfield, and still let them wrestle with a Spaulding team, but
Well, and who
That's
knows?
just me.
Who knows what's going to happen?
Right.
Right.
You know,
all
with-
the
with
with all
redistricting,
the-
it's going
yeah.
to be, yeah, it's going
I'm
to be.
sure there's going to be lots of discussions about,
Yeah.
you know, how athletics looks with all these changes too.
We were
For
talking
sure.
about that at the basketball tournament the other night too, that, you know, you look right now and you got all these small Division IV schools. Are they gonna get absorbed in this redistricting? Are we gonna lose these small town teams?
Well, Chelsea closed down their high school
Yeah.
not too
Right.
long ago, and there was
Yeah.
a time when they were kind of a basketball power, weren't they?
They were.
So we talked also before we went live that the last time Spaulding held this title was 1984. That's definitely been a hot minute.
Yeah.
So do you attribute the way you do things now to this like championship win that finally came about? Do you think that these changes have truly been for the better, where you're making more confident and better wrestling team?
Definitely. But, you know, Mount Anthony was so dominant for so long. There was a time when it was nearly impossible to beat them. And, you know, not just Spaulding, anybody. And there were good teams that, you know, didn't come close to beating them. I don't think people maybe understand just how good they were when they were at the top. I think under Legacy they won 30 state titles or something.
Wow.
20 of those years, they were either number 1 or number 2 in New England.
Yeah.
So, and that doesn't even really put it into perspective for people that don't know wrestling. But if I told you that a Vermont basketball team dominated every team in Connecticut or Massachusetts every year for 2 decades, it'd be
It
unbelievable.
would be unbelievable.
It'd be
Yep.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
it should be the same in this situation.
And it is,
unbelievable.
but people don't know the sport as well,
Right,
right?
they
So
don't
so they don't
recognize
have the, maybe the perspective. So that's how hard it was for a time. And even this year they were good and they put 2 guys on the podium at New England's. But they're certainly more vulnerable now to being beat than they were, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So, part of it is that they're not at the top where they were, and part of it is that we're better than maybe we've ever been.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So our point total this year was, higher probably than any other team has scored outside of Mount Anthony, except for maybe Essex in 2020. So, we're happy with where the program is for sure. Yeah.
I mean, to get to that point and to get the championship was obviously really huge, and people rallied around. Everybody has been really happy, but what can we do to keep that momentum going for you? How can we support you and the sport itself? I mean, I know that when I was in high school, it was a big deal. Wrestling was a big deal when I was in high school, and we used to go that's what we did. We went to all the tournaments and matches, and it's been a lot of years. So how do we support you?
Well, to that point, you asked. The school is very good to us. They allow us to travel out of state and compete at some very, very strong tournaments that have made the team better. But that is not all on the it's not on the taxpayer's dollar. They perhaps pay our entry fee into the tournament, but we have to pay for 6 or 7 hotel rooms when we're on the road like that, and that's expensive. And
Transportation, food, everything.
Yeah. Well, the boys are on their own for food. They bring food with them when we're gone for a couple of days like that. But we run a couple of wrestling tournaments a year, usually, and those are fundraisers for us. And they're a lot of work, and they'll take. We need 20 people to run one of those tournaments, and we get a lot of help from our parents and from some alumni, but we need more. And we're always doing some kind of a fundraiser, and it's all very necessary for us to be able to continue to have opportunities for these kids to get better. And, it's not always easy doing the fundraising thing
No,
on a
for sure
regular
not.
basis.
We've got a group of moms that have basically opened up a new world for us as far as doing fundraising, and it's critical. We cannot run the program without it. We can't give the guys the opportunities that we've been giving them without a lot of money. And I don't remember exactly what the number was, but I think I ran the numbers earlier this year, and it's tens of thousands of dollars to run a program like we're running with year-round opportunities through the club, and then just what we spend during the high school season.
And those opportunities are, they're expensive as they accumulate throughout the year. And what we try to do is make those opportunities available to everyone,
Right.
regardless of their financial situation or their family situation. And it's critical. Wrestling is critical. Without the winning and without the state titles, without the physical activity, it's critical to their development as young human beings. And we know that, and we want more people to know that. And so when we try to make these opportunities, we try to make it as cheap or free as possible, depending on the opportunity.
Lowest barrier to entry that we can get for the kids, especially before they know what wrestling is.
Yeah.
Like we want no barriers for them to step on the mat the first time and fall in love with it. And as it becomes more important to them, and if they have means, the parents are contributing, a lot too. And but we definitely want to make sure that, finances are not a reason to hold the kid back. Yeah.
Now, do you ever see any changes? You said that the VPA doesn't recognize it as like a team sport, that it's
Yeah.
an individual. Do you ever see any changes there? For me, it would be that it's a team sport and just the amazing amount of discipline that you learn when you're fighting and when to use it and when not to use it. And you are a team. You become a family.
Yeah, and
really are.
wrestling is it's an odd team sport, let's say, and the VPA does recognize the team championship and so on. I think there's a lot of fine print there regarding getting back to the kids from other schools competing for another school.
Yeah.
But yeah, the VPA's.
It's been it's a fight that they've fought for 20 years, and now I kind of got bored with the conversation because it never really went anywhere. But every year some coach has 2 or 3 guys from another school that he wishes were in his lineup, and he'll bring it up and they'll squabble about it, and then
Right.
it goes away, and a couple years later somebody else. We just gave up on that whole thing, and it's really not that important to us. If guys want to get on the mat and get opportunities,
They'll find a way.
There's ways to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, there's ways
Yep.
for them to do it.
To your team situation, your team question, we are a pretty amazing sport in that Matt and I, as practice partners, let's say, and he's the guy, he's in the lineup, and I have to work hard to help make him better. So he takes me down, I have to get back up and go again. And we have so many kids on the team right now that are doing that. Kids that were on the B team all year long, and they just work very hard in practice to help their team get better. And it happens in so many cases.
When you're competing as an athlete in wrestling, it's the most individual sport. It's like if you were playing tennis against one other person. It's
Right.
you and one other person, right?
Yep.
But and I'm not saying it's like this everywhere, but in our community, in the Barrie area, I would argue that wrestling is one of the most team-oriented sports around. There's a lot of friendships, and it's so important. It's important that this guy that I'm helping, become a better wrestler, that he does well, that I cheer for him, or my other teammate, or and it really is, and if you speak to people in wrestling circles, it's one of the team culture is pretty amazing for hey, you're not going to help me win my match or lose my match or with this move when I'm competing, but the family kind of closeness of the whole culture is pretty cool.
Part of it is we spend
So much time together.
30 plus hours a week together. So, we might leave at 5 a.m. on Saturday and get back at 10, or we might spend the night Friday night. So these guys stay in hotels a lot. They're around each other a lot.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure that's a piece of it. But to Matt's point, we had a kid who had a dominant win this season over the eventual state champion at 157 pounds, who lost a wrestle-off to a teammate and didn't get to compete in the state tournament. And he was right there the whole tournament, cheering him on, and putting his own ego aside, to be a good supporter of the team. So I would like to see more of that in the rest of our teams. I'd like to see a little, and when I say the rest of our teams, I mean in the Spaulding, Barrie area, a little less selfishness, a little bit more concern, even from parents. We all get a lot better if we stop worrying, about our own individual accolades and whether our kid's going to be, the next, LeClaire, or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's a good example, and we've got to get rid of some of that negativity that happens in our other sports, and a lot of it is driven by selfishness. We're pretty fortunate that our program, it's,
Yeah.
we don't have a ton of that, and if we do, we're kind of nipping it in the bud quick.
Right.
You know?
By
Yeah.
design. I mean,
Yeah.
basically by design, it's what you chose to do to kind of change the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and even with us, I mean, we're just 10 coaches, and all 10 coaches are important, and none of us needs to have the spotlight, and it's really about the program. And because it did so much for us, I mean, that's the other thing. Why do we have so many coaches? It's because what the sport did for us, We're not there for any other reason other than it defined who we were, it helped guide us. And every one of them will tell you that. Everyone that comes back and volunteers will tell you it's the number one thing I did in high school, Even, and we went to college. We've got, other coaches that went to college, and they'll tell you, they did great in math in college, but they were able to do great in math because of the things they learned in wrestling.
Yep.
So, that's a piece of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that
sure.
it's bigger to us maybe than the wins and losses.
And thank you, Mick, for clarifying that the VPA does support you.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
And that isn't,
Yeah.
it's just that when it comes to the school swapping and
Yes,
all of that
correct.
stuff, that's
Yep.
when, so.
I
yeah.
think it's just some of these things have been in place forever, and if there isn't a huge reason to change it, that it's not going to get looked at. But the VPA does. I think the VPA likes us at the Barry Odd.
I'm sure.
I was just going to
I'm
bring
sure.
that up.
I'm sure they do.
I hope next year,
Yeah,
And
that would be awesome.
I bet we set the attendance record last year, and I'd like to know what that number was so we could break it next year.
Yeah, me too. Well,
We can't exceed 1,600.
yes, that's right. We might as well make it public. We're hosting varsity state tournament at the Barry Odd next year.
Wonderful.
So
That's awesome.
again, we did it 2 years ago. 2 years ago?
Last year.
Last
Yeah,
year.
last year.
Last year here, and it was incredible. The venue is perfect for a wrestling tournament.
That's awesome.
Absolutely
That's
perfect.
And you'll have a new facility.
We'll have some new stuff
like
there.
you
Yeah.
were,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Updated. Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited, and
I'm
we'll
sure.
we'll have a solid group of seniors to showcase there too. So
And
You'll be defending champions.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
be a
Target on the
target.
back.
Target.
yeah, here we go, right? How long can you hold it? And, what was the record before? Do you know? Once you had a title in, I think you said 1984 was the last time you held it. Was there any span of time where it was held at Spaulding for a while?
The championship, yeah,
Yeah.
we went back to back, 76
76,
and 77. Yeah.
78, 3 years in a row. Chuck had.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the old gym?
In the old gym? Well, right. Our dual meets were in the old gym.
Yeah.
I don't remember where all the state tournaments were. Probably at Essex for those three.
Yeah, the only other time that we've hosted was '98 at the high school, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah,
So your home matches now are in the gym at the high
Yes.
school.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's a pretty good show. We purchased a mat lamp last year, so basically the only thing lit up in the gym is the circle.
Is that what they had up at the auditorium?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. That's really neat.
What do you need for a facility for wrestling? Gym space. What is your training area look like? Do you have what you need? Do you have a good facility?
We have a really good wrestling room. That the high school we had a good wrestling room since 2010. Used to be the old band room, and then a couple of years ago, the career center had approached the high school about taking over that space for something else, and we got moved to a better space, a bigger space, and we have a really nice wrestling room. It's a great
Nice.
facility. Yeah, it's probably we're probably at capacity with what we have for numbers right now, but it's still, we're pretty grateful for it. It's a nice room.
Yeah, we were in a number of places before this wrestling room dream came to fruition. We were in the cafeteria for a number of years. we were in the rotation of times in the gym, rotating with the basketball
That
team.
gym was always undersized for that school,
Yeah.
that original gym.
The original, yes, but in the new
the
gym,
new
we were
gym,
in the
yeah.
rotation time-wise. We're very, very happy to have our own wrestling room. Very happy.
Nice. Anything on the wish list?
100K through 6 athletes and 45 high school athletes. That's the wish list. Extra suburban for the school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we quite often will take the Suburbans to events instead of buses, especially if we're doing overnights. It would be nice to see the district get a couple more of those. It would probably save them a ton of money because a bus trip isn't cheap. And they're not that comfortable at 5 in the morning and,
Or warm.
or warm.
Yeah, I'm sure
School
not.
buses, yeah,
Yeah, sure not. Yeah.
those are never fun.
So how are you celebrating this win?
It's a good question.
Well, we have a banquet every year, and I think that will be celebratory.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I don't know what our ticket sales are at right now, but I guess I wouldn't be surprised if we sell out the capacity of the Elks.
I'd like to think so.
I mean,
And we have, we'll have on our Facebook page, the Spaulding High School Wrestling Facebook page, for alumni to purchase tickets, and some contact information on there if they have any questions from one of our team moms who's helping out with setting it up. But yeah, it's going to be a great time, and any alumni or any supporters of the program are welcome to come kind of hear about our season. We're going to talk about all the athletes. We have some raffles, some giveaways, and some awards to hand out. And especially kind of like we do every year, kind of talk about our seniors and wish them luck in their future endeavors. And I think it'll be a good time.
I think the school, our athletic director is trying to come up with some ideas too about maybe how to celebrate with the student body. I don't know. Maybe an unveiling of the banner that's
Right.
going to get hung
Yeah,
up. Or
that's a good idea.
Yeah,
like that.
very good idea.
Yeah.
Now, and you said you were recognized by the town. Was it?
Yeah, we went before the select board, went to the select board meeting, and they read a proclamation. And I think every wrestler was there.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty
that's
cool.
awesome.
They were surprised
Yeah.
too that
Well-
every wrestler was there.
They're probably
And their families.
surprised there were that many wrestlers
Right.
on the team, right?
Yeah.
And we haven't had city council meetings for a while, but I know that the city's going to be doing the
Yeah.
same sort of recognition.
What'd they say,
and,
April 7th?
I think
yeah,
so.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome, and we got to do whatever we can do to support you.
Make sure you
Now-
bring all the boys, all the wrestlers that night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And then what can we do in the future to help you raise this money, and how do we know when you're having a raffle or when
Okay.
you're doing
All right.
something to try to raise money? I mean, if
Yeah.
you let us know somehow, we can make sure that is all
Well, good.
shared and spread,
Thank you.
spread
Thank
the
you.
word as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
We'll keep you posted.
Yeah, like we mentioned, the moms that have taken over the fundraising they will be far more organized than I was, when I was trying to do it myself, or when we were trying to do it and coach. So
And effective, more effective.
and more effective. Yeah, and they, I'm sure
Nothing
they're.
like a mom on a mission.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they were happy to do it, and they are good at it, and I'm terrible at it, so it worked out really well.
Yeah. But it's all, most of it can always be found on the Spaulding High School Wrestling
Correct.
Facebook
The
page.
Facebook page, and if we know of contacts that we should, hit up regularly, I'm sure the ladies will do that on a yearly basis. So if people want to get on their radar, and I'm sure they're reaching out to businesses and alumni right now, and
Yeah. And the other thing is that we host a handful of home matches at Spaulding, and they're a good time.
Yeah.
And they're loud, and there's a lot of energy, and they're exciting, and we just encourage anybody that might be interested in helping out the wrestling team, or anyone in the community. Even if you want to just see what it's all about, or go down and support a local team, come on down to our home wrestling matches. They're a great time, and the coaches can connect afterwards. And if you guys have questions, but we encourage most everyone to try to get in and support something.
Mm-hmm.
Like if wrestling's not your thing, you don't have to do wrestling, but try to be involved in something. Even if it's the basketball team or the hockey team. Even the guys on our team were telling them like, hey, yeah, you can go watch the girls' basketball game. We give them a little leeway every once in a while, and whatever it is, just try to be involved in something. But if you're looking for an exciting night of wrestling, come watch one of our home matches, and the boys really bring a lot of energy.
Yeah, if you haven't experienced it, it's a pretty good show.
Now, is it the same with that? All the matches are listed on the Facebook page as well. How do people find out where you
What
are
the schedule
when you're?
is.
Yeah, what the schedule is.
I mean, I guess I don't know, but
Yeah.
probably the Facebook page has it.
The high school posts a schedule online, but I'm not sure how many people go to the Spaulding website to find it. But we usually post our schedule on the Facebook page or on Instagram. Try to do as much with social media as possible as far as updates, how the team's doing. But whenever there's a home match, we'll get it out there and try to get people circulating it online, maybe a week in advance or several days in advance, so that they can plan for, a Wednesday night date night at a wrestling match or something.
Oh, hey, you never know, right? I don't know who does all of your photos, but they do an amazing job.
We've got a couple of moms.
It's amazing,
Yeah.
all the photos that come out after you guys have been away.
Yeah,
They
Lori
do a really
probably
good
did
job.
most of them. Lori Marcellus.
Yeah.
But we've got a few moms that have done a pretty good job with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
she takes a pile of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, just each one of you, if each one of you could just tell us, like, what was the highlight of the day that it all happened? Like, what was the highlight for each one of you? I'm sure it was different for each of you.
Yeah.
You each, I'm sure, walked out of there with a different feeling and a
Yeah.
different sense of accomplishment or something. What was it for you?
It was a strange day because there was, there's a lot of stress and anxiety, and you've done all this work, and you're trying to manage all the kids so they're maybe getting fueled enough. They got the nutrition they need, or they have the rest they need, and you kind of try to take it match by match. And I remember in the semifinals, one of our wrestlers who was the 4th seed in the tournament upsetting the number 1 seed, who was from Mount Anthony, and that created a significant swing in the points. And I kind of just remember just kind of bubbling up, oh my gosh, this is
Well,
should be
trying to stay in
reality.
control.
Yeah. And for me, the other thing is what I have a son on the team, and so watching him compete and do well in place at the state tournament, that was pretty memorable
For the
me.
second time.
For the second time. Yeah.
We never really came right out and said the words, winning the state championship. We never really did. We danced around it, and we all knew what we were saying to each other. But at some point during the day, I think it's too late. I don't think they can catch us, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
that was a relief.
The same thing happened when we dueled. We've dueled by duel our 14 against their 14 in a dual meet, as opposed to a tournament where everybody's thrown into their own weight classes, and it's not a head-to-head situation necessarily. But when we've dueled them the last 3 times and we've beaten them the last 3 times, at some point, as the match is going on, hey, I think they're past the point of no return. We've beaten them, so I think that's the highlight for me.
Yeah, there's so many moments at those tournaments because, we have the team thing going on, which is big, which was big for the boys. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure at the time I knew it was going to be. I mean, obviously, everybody wants to win a state title, but you also have these individuals that have a goal at the same time, right? So you got this team thing that's going on, but then you've got guys that are achieving their dreams and guys that are getting their hearts broken at the same time, and you're going through it all day. It doesn't stop. You're happy for this guy, then this guy loses. Now you got to he's in a hallway, not feeling good. So there's a ton of those moments, and they happen every year. And I don't know if I could pick a favorite, but one of my favorite things is when, especially for the dads, when their son has gone through whatever trials he's gone through, and he gets it done.
Yeah.
He wins a championship, and I mean, these dads get emotional, right? I mean, they break down. These are guys that don't cry, and they break down, and their kids are going, "I've never seen him do that."
Yeah.
And so I think embracing the dads after, and just and for us too, it's a little bit, we're carrying that burden. Hey, we convinced you that we could get you here, and and you're hoping you really do have the tools to help them get there. And so I would say that one of my other favorite moments too. Maybe the best wrestler on our team did not win a state title. He lost to a very good kid that placed at New England's last weekend. But he wrestled, his heart out, and he wrestled great, and he looked great. It just wasn't quite good enough to beat him. And he came off the mat, and instead of throwing a tantrum or even feeling sorry for himself, the first thing he said when he came off was, "Hey, I just got better. That match just made me better." And and I just felt like, oh, we've arrived.
Right, you met your goal.
We're
right there.
we're
That was
mature
your
enough
priority.
now
Right.
to
Growth.
get better.
Yeah, that was your priority.
Yeah.
One of your priorities as far as the team goes is that you get to that.
Yeah, it's a big deal for us to not. There were times, and I was guilty of it. You put so much on it, and you don't even want to talk about your losses. Kids would ask me, for the first 10 years I coached, kids would ask me about my career, and I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to, that stuff was so painful. I didn't want to talk about it. And now we've moved beyond that, where, we put our pride into the effort that was given and enjoying the process and not worrying so much about the result at the end. And if we get good enough, we'll get some pretty good results too. But maybe that's not the purpose anymore, which is funny to say because we just won everything there was to win. But but it truly is the way we've approached it for a while now.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe you just proved that you won a lot more. That you won what there was to win as far as like a trophy or whatever, but you won a lot more in the end. But yeah.
I think it's important, and we try to do this very regularly. Obviously we got a lot of coaches and we got a lot of dedicated athletes, but we also have a lot of support, and so we get, we're just so thankful for, the kids and the athletes and their trust in us and the time that they dedicate to this crazy sport. And we're thankful for the parents for getting them down to the school at 5 a.m. so we can steal their kids for a whole weekend or a whole summer, or and their trust in what we do with their kids. Especially the kids that aren't getting all the shine. And, those guys deserve a lot of credit too. Our administration at Spaulding has been great.
The unsung heroes are probably our wives.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's
Good plug, Darren. Good
I was
plug.
getting there.
I could see where he was going. I was getting in front of that. It's true. I mean, we're gone for 3 months straight, and it's we're not doing drop off and pick up and soccer practice and basketball and
chores.
It's
home. Yeah, they are just as important or more important to us being able to win a championship or have the effect on all of these kids' lives.
100% couldn't be done without
no
a
way.
supportive
Yeah.
wife at home,
Yeah, for sure.
taking care of the family, and helping us, where they can. My wife, did all the entries for our state forms, and it takes forever. 800 matches that have to be entered into the computer,
Right.
And
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah. And so, our administration at Spaulding, our athletic director, Derek Cipriano, he's been a huge supporter of the program. And, when we got him a couple of years ago, it was a little feeling out process. Like, we got a new AD, and he's just been amazing. He's been so great.
he's been good, and before him, Natalie and Pat Merriam. Pat's the AD up at Essex now.
Pat's one of the best.
Yeah, and they've been
We're
supportive.
fortunate with all
right
three of
along,
them.
Yeah. And,
I go way back to Don Zock. Remember Don?
Zocco.
Yeah.
yeah. And then also, the support, from the BYSA board. They've been great and supportive of, our vision and working with the kids and moving them through the Barry Town and Barry City schools, what they've done for us and allowed us to do working with kids.
Yeah.
Everyone's just been so helpful, and it really, I remember coming back from a Pennsylvania trip with Darren and talking about what was important to our program, and we must have talked about what's good for the community for half of the time.
Yeah.
And we had just got up at 4 a.m. to drive to Pennsylvania to watch a wrestling match, and then turned right around and drove the 7 hours back, all in one day. And here we are on the interstate talking about how important the program is to the community. What can we do? What can we do as a program to benefit the community? And what they've done to support us, and what they can do to support
Were you
us.
thinking to yourself, what did I get into coming back here?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay. This is a 21-hour day, and yeah, no, it was good, but we had a lot of maybe we don't say it enough, and maybe it's not official enough, but thank you to everybody in the community for everything.
I've found it. Barry really supports their athletic teams and events. That goes back to like when the Legion had a baseball team, and like
Right.
in the late '60s, early '70s, they were dominant, and people get behind things like that. And what you guys have done, I mean, you watch, you could have a parade tomorrow, and these streets would be packed with people.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we feel like wrestling is alive here.
Yeah.
We felt like it for a while. This, we've felt pretty good about where the program was for a few years. This is maybe everybody else is catching on now because we finally got over the hump and won
Right.
that state title. But
Right.
This
just said it loudly.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
You
Or
just-
maybe
the
to people that
exclamation point.
didn't know about wrestling, right? It's
Yeah.
like, well, they understand state titles though.
I mean, 100%
Oh, yeah.
honest.
Yeah, they do.
I didn't. I wasn't following. I didn't really know
Yeah.
what it was until a community member, a parent, sent me stuff and said, "Hey, this is what's going on this weekend, and this is what the wrestling team is up to," and started sending me photos and linked me up with a Facebook page and stuff. I didn't even know prior
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
So thank you, Samantha, for doing that. But otherwise, I wouldn't have necessarily caught on to that's what was happening.
Yeah.
And then I started paying attention and posting stuff and sharing stuff, and so that I knew what was happening.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Yeah. So share it out there, people. And if you want to go to the banquet, you can go to the banquet and check out the Facebook page and for schedule and sponsorship opportunities. There must be sponsorship opportunities.
We don't have per se, a press the button and go, but we would love to talk to anybody that has some ideas, that has some money they want
Do
to
you
share
guys,
with us.
do you guys do
Right.
things to raise money for your road trips, or does the school handle?
Well, the ladies are putting on a fundraising campaign right now,
Yeah.
and that quite a lot of that money will go to it. And between that and the fundraising that we do hosting the 2 events at the high school, that's kind of what covers that, and then member fees and what the parents shell out too for each of the trips. But they're currently doing a fundraiser, and that's on the Facebook page, and that Lori and Casey Winnie and some of the other moms, Kelsey LaPearl, I'm not sure how many others are involved, but if anybody wants to reach out, they can find it on the Facebook page pretty easy, I think.
Yeah, and they can give us any information they want, and anytime any of them, you or them, anybody wants to come in and talk about it, give it a shout out, get people listening and recognizing, just let us know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll be as
Thank you.
supportive as we can.
Thank you.
And we'll certainly push the state championships being at the Odd next year.
Absolutely.
Well, it's a done deal. We
Good.
booked it. So.
Good.
And hopefully, we're going to try to get some competitive matches at home, and maybe even some top out-of-state teams
Yeah.
for next year. So we've been invited by several top teams in New England to compete with them. So I think there's an opportunity for us to do a collaboration where maybe one of the other state champion teams comes in and we wrestle them. And
Nice.
yeah.
Well, that happens, let us know. We'll post the hell out of it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. Any last words for anybody before we wrap it up?
No, I think I said my thanks.
Yeah, I think we've said a lot. I think
Yeah.
we've been pretty efficient in getting all of
Yeah.
our stuff out there. Thank you for
Thanks.
thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely.
Obviously the coaches, I'm very grateful for you guys. And
Well, the feeling's mutual, obviously, we all know that. I guess I am going to talk just a little bit about the coaching staff. The coaching staff is amazing. The knowledge, a lot of college wrestling fans on the coaching staff, and the new moves that they bring to the practice room on a regular basis is impressive. And, the coaching staff, obviously Darren included, is like nothing I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
So good.
yeah, it's great.
So good.
They love wrestling, and
Everyone's got their job to do, and the jobs get done.
we take a yearly pilgrimage. The coaching staff goes to the Division I NCAA tournament every year, and so we'll take 7
I don't know.
of our coaches.
Yeah, 7 of our coaches.
We'll go out to Cleveland next week, and
Yeah.
Wow, great.
we'll do some professional development.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. That's right.
We haven't got the administration to fund it yet, but we're working on it.
Someday, you never know. We'll have to fundraise for that too, right? The hiatus. Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for joining us, and
thank you very
congratulations
much.
to all of you. And,
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
And let us know if there's anything we can do to help.
We'll see you at the Odd next year.
Yeah,
Definitely.
help spread the word and get things out there for you. So until next week, Jeff and I will see you on Tuesday, I guess. We'll be
Yeah.
back on Tuesday because we're wrapped up for this week. And tomorrow morning, right side up at 7. And other than that, we're done for the week.
Let's see,
So-
we got still
but
basketball going on at the Odd.
tournaments all weekend long, right?
Division III semifinals tonight, be some good games.
Will be.
I think the Hazen Thetford game will be the game of the night. Yeah. And then finals on Saturday.
On Saturday in 3 games.
3 games. Division 4 at noon, Division 2 at 3:45, and Division 3 at 7 p.m.
Yeah, and it's a whole lot of fun. So get up there and join in, participate. Well, you got to have your tickets already for the tournament. When can
There'll
people
be
get
tickets
for
available at
Saturday?
the door. They're very limited. They've been selling like hotcakes.
I don't know that there's any tickets available for tonight's game.
Not tonight.
Games,
No,
yes.
but
Yep.
Saturday.
Right.
For Saturday, tickets
Yeah.
at the door.
They open doors open an hour before the game starts, and that's when tickets go on sale.
Nice. So check, and can you buy, like, if you get there an hour before the first game, can you buy tickets for the last game?
Yes, if they're still available.
If they're still
They sold a
available.
lot, the last couple of nights, so.
Yeah, well, not surprising. So, yeah, get up there, take in a game. Support,
Yeah.
support, support. So we will see you all next week on Tuesday.